If music is the food of love, let us feast. What's going on, people? This is Akala. This week's classic album, see, I'm holding out a shot for a minute. This week's classic album is a surprise one for a lot of people. Da-da-da. I'm going to lose bare credibility on social media for this one here, because this is not the coolest band in the world, but man, they can write some incredible songs. Now, I've got a little story about this album. It's funny when you get caught in places that people don't feel you belong, and their reaction to you being there. So my brethren, who's actually operating the camera behind you, who works with me on production and engineering, a whole bunch of stuff, big up man like Lavi, we went to a listen back of Fleetwood Mac, Rumours. And how do I put this? He's of colour as well, and he has a very long beard, and he wears head wraps. So to some people, even though he's not from the Middle East, he looks like he could be Middle Eastern. And so we walked into a venue. We were the only people of hue in the venue. You can imagine it was a Fleetwood Mac listen back. It was very, very middle class. And it was, you know, one of the moments like in TV where you think it doesn't happen in real life, but it does happen. Where you walk into a venue and the whole room stops. And there's that moment of silence where everyone in the room recognizes they've all collectively gone, what the fuck are the black guys doing here? It's a Fleetwood Mac listen back. Because I'm dressed, I don't change the way I dress just to go to these kind of places. I'm dressed like road, whatever, I got a hoodie on or probably or something. And I look the way I look in it. And then I'm with my brethren who, you know, who's got his whole thing going on. So the whole room stopped. And then within like 5 seconds, I noticed the whole room do that whole uncomfortable thing where they all realized they'd all stopped and then tried to be like really nice, like, hey, how you doing? It was one of those uncomfortable moments, but it was quite funny because it does make us think about how we're told what we should and shouldn't like in life, and how music, if you know the history of the music industry, you'll notice music is marketed specifically to particular groups, to particular gender demographics, to particular racial groups, to particular age groups, not based on what people like in real life, because I would argue the same people buying Radiohead records are the same people buying Wu-Tang records, or the same people who listen to John Coltrane like Kendrick Lamar. If you like good music, you like good music. If you go to Jamaica, anyone who's of Jamaican origin will notice some of the most popular musicians in Jamaica ever are people you wouldn't even expect. Garth Brooks, which one is the football player? I can't remember. I think it's Garth Crooks is the singer. Or is Garth Brooks is the singer. Garth Crooks is the football player. National hero almost in Jamaica. Celine Dion. People like this. People you wouldn't believe. Jim Reeves. Like, in Jamaica, these people are some of the most popular musicians ever, because I would argue people in Jamaica living in a country where, despite all its problems, their identity as black Jamaicans is the dominant identity. They don't have to subscribe to what outsiders or other people tell them they should and shouldn't like. Because the Jamaican diaspora, we don't like none of that music. You chat to people of Jamaican origin in the UK, all of that kind of folky country and western music that they love in Jamaica, the Jamaican diaspora hasn't carried it with us. And I would argue in many ways for similar reasons to why the Indian diaspora, heavy metal is not as popular with them. You go to India, Metallica do a show in India, everything shut down, madness. Like, heavy metal was so popular in India, it shocked me. Because, again, Indians here, that music is not marketed to them. So they're not really in the same way able to make up their own mind as they are back in India or back in Jamaica with our group. I would argue people respond to what's marketed to them. In countries where music is not aggressively marketed, in many ways you can make up your own mind. That's an aside. So I do love this album, and it's an incredible album. Songwriting is fantastic. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were couples. And there was all kind of madness going on. One was cheating with the other, sleeping around, kind of, they were going through a breakup when they made that, all kind of madness, drugs, blah, 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 you know, all that rock and roll stuff. But they wrote an album that sold like 7 billion copies, not literally, but, you know, made them all multi-millionaires if they weren't already. But the quality of the songwriting, the quality of the production, the quality of the mix, something I'm big on. And one thing I think we've lacked in UK hip-hop and grime often, and I would like to say, presumptuous though it may be, if you listen to some of the material we've tried to put out, particularly the Thieves Banquet, one thing we really try to pay attention to is the mix. You can have banging production, you can have a great song that you've written. If the mix is fucked, the song's basically going to be shit. It won't bang, it won't have that quality, it won't feel warm, it won't sound nice. The level of mix, the level of engineering, the level of production and songwriting on an album like this is just, if you like music, is undeniable. Might not be to your taste. But I would strongly recommend you step out of your comfort zone into the brave new world, no matter where you're from, and listen to this week's classic album, which is Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. Big up.
If music is the food of love, let us feast.